Hello everyone. I'm Pranay, and I'm happy to introduce you today, today's speaker, Mr. Karthikeyan. So, Mr. Karthikeyan graduated from our department of Instrumentation and Control Engineering in the year 2012, and he was also the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Feeds, the monthly magazine of NIT Trichy. He was also a part of Festember, Pragyan, Knitfest, and also Sensors. After graduating from NIT Trichy, he joined ABB as Control and Automation Engineer and now works as Bids and Proposal Specialist. And we're delighted to have Mr. Karthikeyan here today to discuss about the latest trends in the automation industry. So he'll talk about his journey in ABB, how the technologies are adapting or upgrading, how the job market is and will be, also about social entrepreneurship journey. Thank you. Rama, you can continue from here.
So yes, sir, you can start. This.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Rama. Thanks, Pranay. So first, I see. I think Umapati sir and Uma ma'am have joined, I guess. So first, I have to probably start with a great thanks to them because they are the one who introduced me to instrumentation and automation through various courses during the curriculum. So thanks to both of them as I start. So and thanks Rama and Pranay for giving a short introduction. Just keep me posted if you have any interruption either in my voice or video. So probably Pranay made it clear on what are the expectations. So a short brief about me, like what Pranay told, I graduated from ICE in 2012. And post that, almost for the last 8 years, I am with ABB in various roles. And I'm also on social entrepreneurship front. I'm also the founder of Listener Circle, a not-for-profit initiative, which facilitates a safe for everyone to talk about anything. Just to start with a small journey on what are the roles that I have done in ABB, how things changed for me in ABB, and then probably I'll get into what are the few latest trends that is happening. So as I graduated from 2012, I started out in ABB as a control and automation engineer in engineering and commissioning team. That is where I got to learn all the basics. So I initially started out in the cement, mining, and metals team. So I belong to a business unit called Process Industries in ABB, which caters cement, mining, paper, metal, and cranes industries. So I started out initially in cement and mining. As soon as I started in 2012, at the start of 2013, I went to commission one of the largest cement plants in India. It is for Ultratech Cement. It is situated in Gulbarga. So it was a cement plant, one of the largest till date in India. Also the captive power plant, 2 into 50 megawatt captive power plant. So I think I was, it was an interesting or a funny thing. So when I joined ABB, they told, okay, you have to go on site. Okay, my expectation was pretty much like, okay, I'm going to Germany, US or somewhere, but then I was sent to Gulbarga to commission a cement plant. So I pretty much stayed 1.5 years there, commissioning the complete cement plant end to end and also the power plant. When I say commissioning, it relates to instrumentation, automation, and ABB had back the order of the complete instrumentation and of the complete cement plant there. So then, post that, I had few commissioning stints in metals. I had worked for JSW steel plant in Bellary. I have commissioned a few systems there. And also a few other sites. So I was pretty much in a commissioning role for about 2.5 years. And then the role of commissioning involves you to travel to a lot of places and stay put there for months together. And once I gained quite a good commissioning experience wherein I really know to commission a plant, the automation system from the front, and it's a very exciting job commissioning a plant. For example, generally in core industry, you get into two kind of way. Either you get into operations team, wherein you work for people like Ultratech Cement, JSW Steel, NLC, wherein you work more on the operation front, and sometimes you get to commission. But when you work on the side of ABB, Schneider, and Siemens, who supply these automation systems and machineries, what we call as OEM, you get to work a lot on commissioning it. So it's quite easy and natural progression for you to become a subject matter expert in automation. So for 2.5 years, I was an automation engineer commissioning various plants. Then I'm generally good with communication, and it just struck me, and even ABB felt that I should move more to the technical sales front. So from there, after that 2.5 years, I moved into technical sales front, wherein I have to sell the automation solutions and digital solutions to various customers. So how it really works is, for example, let's take Ultratech Cement. So Ultratech Cement is putting up a new cement plant, right? So what Ultratech Cement does is they have a team, and they have the capital, they have the land, but then they are not the experts on making the cement plant. They do not own the technologies that makes the cement, right? So they will have to handle out a lot of different contracts. So they'll have to handle out a civil contract to person who construct. They'll have to hand out a mechanical contract. They'll have to hand out an electrical contract, and they'll also have to hand out an instrumentation and automation contract, right? So for any new industry that comes. So I worked more on the technical sales side in bidding team, wherein on close lines of being a technical consultant, wherein whenever any new plant or any existing plant is modified across the industries that I said comes in India, I'll be assigned the job. So I'll have to ascertain it technically. I'll have to understand it technically. Then I'll have to propose optimized solution from ABB. So would be the competitors like Siemens, Schneider, and everyone. At the end of the day, the one who really codes the technologically advanced, optimized, and cost-effective solution backs the contract, right? So in this job, what actually happened is, when I really moved from being a commissioning engineer to be a bids and proposal engineer. So what really happened, the vast experience that I got as a commissioning engineer quickly really helped me. So whenever I went to talk to customers, I really knew what I was talking about, and it really helped me in this role. So then for 2.5 years, I was there, and then so initially I was looking after only very few segments like cement mining. I was handling small inquiries. Then I was handling larger inquiries. Then now I'm the cluster lead of bids team for complete Asia and Africa, wherein particularly for mining and metals industries, for the complete control, instrumentation, and digital solutions. So in this job, I really get to interact with a lot of customers. I have to do a lot of engagement at various levels, at various industries. I have to understand their requirement technically, and then I'll have to convert it into an order to ABB. So that goes on to be executed by the engineering team and project management teams of ABB. So that's what we deal now. So just to brief about, when I say control, instrumentation, and digital solutions, probably when I talk about the next slide, in which I explain about how the trend is going on, then possibly I can tell more about it. So how do I, this window, okay, fine. So first I'll probably explain about I'm taking the mining domain as a reference here, because I deal more with the mining domain. And this slide kind of tells what are the various solutions in electrification and automation domain in the electrification and automation domain in the mining division, in the mining segment, mining industries. So, and then on, I'll go to how things are really progressing. So this will probably help people to understand what are the various electrification and automation components in the plant. Right. So probably I'll start with it. Okay. So when we really just give me a minute, I'll take my pointer on. So here, when you really say, any industries for that matter, the electrification and automation part starts with the incoming power source. right? So here what you see representing is you have a overhead line, which is where you draw power from, and then you have your substation, power transformer, and then you have your regulating transformer, rectifier transformers. You have this complete electrical circuit, so which is a high voltage electrical circuit, which you convert into a medium voltage circuit, and then in turn you also convert into a low voltage circuit, which is pretty much used by most of the ground components of automation and electrification, right? So this is a place wherein you draw the power source, and then you really step down into MB, and then you step down into LV with transformers, switch gears, and other sources, right? So, and any plant, when you talk about, those are made up of, as of course, civil and mechanical structure. These are the proper ground elements. So you are going to have conveyors, which is driven by motors. You are going to have pumps. You are going to have a lot of instruments, right? So this is the place wherein what is called as L0, level 0. So level 0 is a place wherein you have your instrumentation, basic instrumentation, even advanced instrumentation. You have your motors, you have your pumps, you have your grinding equipment and everything. Right. So from this, again, you have your automation system, which is sitting here, which really communicates with all this equipment. I'll probably tell there are various ways to communicate as you would be seeing it. And then you have your electrical components sitting in here. So, and these are now some trends wherein for mines, we really use electric trolley system for the trucks to cut down the emissions and stuff. You have the UPS, you have the drives and everything. So particularly from an automation front, so you have your controllers, you have your automation system, which really controls the plant. So this is, you have your power and process control here. And then now in an advanced level, we are getting into operations management system. You are getting into asset management systems. And then previously we had islands of automations. So now you really connect your plant to the cloud. And then wherein you have a global remote and diagnostic support services and stuff. So to sum up what a plant is really made up of, it is made up of, at the end of the day, I love doing it. So the entire plant, if you take any industry, at the end of the day, it is just a mix. It is a combination of inputs and outputs to you as an automation engineer. So there are equipments, there are instruments which you communicate with in terms of inputs and outputs. So you take their inputs in, you know their status, and then you give outputs to those equipment to control those equipment, right? So that is pretty much automation is all about. So these are the various equipments which will be a part of automation. For example, what you see here is VSD. It is called as a variable frequency drive or variable speed drive, right? So this is something you really communicate with the automation in various ways to control it. So at the end of the day, for example, this pumps, conveyors, and everything. So at the end of the day, these are all set of inputs and outputs, which you control through various communication protocols or even hardwired IOs. Okay, so this is pretty much talks about what are the various equipment which is going to be there. So probably since we really talked about since we really talked about the future of automation, just this is actually the slide in which I really want to focus on. So which really concisely tells what are the various steps of automation, right? So the first one, as you see, is partly automated. And this we call it as mining digital vision, but it is pretty much the same for any industry. You take cement industry, you take refineries, you take metals, any industries, this is pretty much the same. So the first is partly automated. From there, the second step is local automated. So the third step is connected and optimized. Fourth step is collaborative and mobile. And the ambitious last step is autonomous and economic optimization. So what exactly are this local automated, partly automated, connected and optimized? What are all these modes? I'll not get into the basics of automation. Most of you are aware of it. So let's say when we started with this automation journey, probably 30 years back, 40 years back, 50 years back, pretty much even 70% of today's site or 80% of today's industries in India are still in partly automated and local automated phase. So what are this partly automated? So when we really say partly automated, you have very limited automation and then disconnected electrification. So what is disconnected electrification is when you really automate all that you are dealing with is mostly electrical component which really drive the mechanical structures, right? So pretty much managing the whole electrification is part of this complete automation. So when you see partly automated, let's take a simple example of a cement plant. A cement plant has a few areas. It has, let's say, the first one is a crusher. Next one is a raw mill. Then you have your complete, they call it as pyro section, wherein you do the preheating. And then you have a kiln, in which the raw material is heated about 1000 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes to get a product called clinker. So the next section is cooler. So from cooler, once it cools down, you get clinker. Once you grind it in your cement mill with some fly ash and other additives, you get cement. So in a cement plant, let's say, so I talked about 6 areas. So when we really talk about partly automated, what we really talk is each and every area is automated separately. Each and every area have an islands of automation, right? So raw mill has a different automation system, and cement mill has a different automation system. Kiln has a separate different automation system, or you have automation for only few areas, and you really do not know what is happening in one area. For example, someone is operating raw mill, he really do not know what is happening in the other area. So this is what is partly automated. You have very limited automation and then islands of automation. So 50 to 60% of Indian industries are still in this partly automated mode. So the next step is local automated. Okay, so the local automated, when we really say what is local automated is a place wherein you really implement your automation system for your complete site. So we talked about the case of a cement plant, right, wherein you have 6 to 7 areas. So in local automated, what you really do is you automate all these areas in a single platform. So you have all the data in a single platform, and then you operate your complete plant from a single platform, right? So which is what we call it as integrated process automation. Still in your local automated phase, your electrical system remains different. Right? So your electrical system still remains different. And for example, let's say you have in a cement plant or even any other industry, there will be a few areas which will not be connected to this complete cement process, right? So those have their own automation systems still, like pump and dewatering circuits, what we call as utility circuits. So, and 80% of Indian industries still are stuck at this local automated and partly automated mode. Right, and then so this is where we are, and most of the industries are in local automated mode, and they are making a gradual leap forward to this connected and optimized mode. Right. So what is really a connected and optimized mode? So here in local automated mode, I really talked about integrated process automation. So what really happens is your entire plant is automated, but still you really do not have any advanced controls in place. Most of your start and stop sequence starts has to be still done by operator, a human who is sitting in the control room and operating with a lot of disconnected areas. So can we really put some algorithms and controls in place which will make the decisions for operators simpler, wherein you really get close to a completely automated and fully autonomous operation? So you really start to put this advanced controls in place on top of your automation systems. So the next is asset management, plant asset management, information management, and remote diagnostics. So when we really automate, you have a lot of information that is sitting in your automation system, right? So because, for example, you take a cement plant, the plant is going to consist of about 700 motors. It is going to consist about 150 drives. It is going to have about 1,500, 2,000 instruments. And you are going to have a lot of data as and when as you keep operating the plant. Are we really doing anything with that data? So can we take those data in? Can we really analyze those data, find some patterns? Do we really manage those information, or we just look at the data and operating the plant? So that is the next leap that we make in connected and optimized mode, wherein you do information management. So the next is plant asset management. So at the end of the day, your automation system helps you to operate various equipment of the plant, right? And each and every equipment is an asset. For example, you take a motor, your motor is an asset, or you take kiln, or you take a mill, your mill is an asset, right? So you are operating that asset with automation system, a solution which can really increase the life and performance and efficiency of that asset. For example, motor or mill. Do we really get into that depth wherein you look at each asset and say, okay, your automation system starts and stops the motor, but do we really know what is the health of the motor, right? Or possibly, probably this motor is going to give some problem in some time. Do we really have that kind of data built in a basic automation system? No. So the next step is getting into an asset management wherein you really put solutions in place which really increase the life and efficiency of the asset. So then you get into remote diagnostics, right? So this is diagnostics, a very important part of any system and plant, because more often than not, you are going to run into problems. So, and particularly this automation system is one which is very, very critical for plant operation, because if there is an interruption in the PLC or controller, the entire process is going to stop, right? So you need to really ensure that your processors and controllers do not go down. So you really need a very good diagnostics in place to avoid breakdown. So can we do those? So essentially every automation system have their own diagnostic, but can we really do those diagnostics remotely, right? So that is the next leap forward. So from then on, we really get into these places wherein you get into advanced point solution. For example, stackers and reclaimers are very important part of various industries, right? And bucket wheel excavators for that matter. Can we really do a complete autonomous operation of machines, automatic stacking and reclaiming? And then can we really put places like operations management system, which manages your operation? You have conveyor asset management tools and stuff. So this connected and optimized is the place wherein you really have all your systems, all your automation and electrical systems integrated, and you start to put advanced solutions in place, which does a little more than automation, like asset management, advanced process control and stuff. And most of the industries in India, and particularly the top conglomerates like JSW, Ultratech Cements, ACC Cement, and when you talk about paper, ITC, international paper, all of them have pretty much come to this place, connected and optimized place, and now they are actually planning to get into this next step, which is collaborative and mobile mode, right? So when we really talk about what is this collaborative and mobile mode, right? So in this collaborative and mobile mode, so all this we saw here in connected and optimized is what we call as OT. It is like operations technology. So it's all deals with your operation. But every plant also has an IT system, right? Every plant also has an IT aspect to it. For example, every plant will have SAP. So what does SAP do? So SAP is a place wherein you do your complete enterprise data management. That is where you place orders for procurement. That is where you manage your production, manage your planning, right? So, but still, you have connected all the automation components in this phase, but still there are a lot of financial, IT and other aspects which is still not connected. right? So in collaborative and mobile mode, what are the things that we are really looking at? First is complete IT/OT integration, wherein you integrate all the IT systems and the OT systems in a site, and then you start doing some analytics with some AI/ML models on top of it. And then the next is seamless data process integration. So you have all your data from all your systems integrated into a single source, right? So the next is collaborative and remote operation centers. So this is a very critical step. So I'll tell you a simple example. So again, I'll take Ultratech Siemens. Ultratech Siemens has about 30 to 35 plants located all across India, right? So each and every plant has an automation system, or minimum one automation system or two automation system. And each and every plant operates it every day. They have a production. But let's say from an enterprise, so the headquarters of Ultratech Cement is located in Mumbai. So what is the visibility that the people in headquarters, or for example, the CEO of Ultratech Cement, have on each and every individual plant operation? On a OT level, almost nothing, right? Because each and every plant has its own automation system. Probably at the end of the day, they'll say, okay, plant was running for this much time, this much of tons of cement we produce, that data that really goes to the headquarters, flows back to the headquarters. But can we really have a collaborative and remote operation center, so which we can set up in the headquarters of Mumbai, which connects all these 35 plants, which looks into all the operations of the 35 plants of Ultratech, which not only gives the real-time data, but also helps, for example, a single plant which is located in Ariyalur can be very good in operating. They can really be efficient in that. And that practice may not be replicated to other places. Right, so the production levels and the efficiencies will be different in each and every site. So actually, by doing this collaborative and remote operation center, you can actually compare each and every site, and you can take out the best practice in each site, and then you can implement. So among the other benefit, this collaborative and remote operation center. So you integrate all the cement plants of Ultratech in a single platform. You take the data, and then you really improve the operations and efficiency. So the next one is real-time production planning and scheduler. So what your basic automation system does, it helps you to produce by automating. But do we really plan the production, right? For example, let's say in a 10,000 tons per day cement plant, on a particular day, they will have to produce only 6,000 tons per day. The operator does not feed into the automation system that we have to produce 6,000 tons per day. He starts and stops the whole plant to produce 6,000 tons per day. But can we really put a system in place wherein the operator just says you produce 6,000 tons per day? The system then plans how the production should go, schedules, and then kind of implements it. So that is the other advanced solution. So next is on-demand dispatch to mobile operator, wherein you do something, and then you do equipment and workforce localization, wherein you manage not only the equipment, wherein you also track various people who are in the people, you track their health, you also manage the workforce. And then the two major components here are, one is cloud-based asset and production performance monitoring. So now everything cloud is now pretty much everywhere. So can we really deploy some cloud-based asset and production performance monitoring, wherein you require very less infrastructure at your plant, wherein you can manage your asset? And also the most important part is to put intelligent sensors in place. So what are these intelligent sensors? So any sensor, it is going to give you output, right? What are these intelligent sensors? As you can see, this is a sensor which really communicates wirelessly, right? Wirelessly. Now we are having sensors which directly sends data to cloud, and we are having sensors which really, for example, we have a sensor, smart sensor, a single sensor which measures temperature, vibration, and a few other components. So you really start to put these intelligent sensors which can help you optimize your process, right? So this is a place ambitious place for many Indian industries or even global industries today. Few European and American industries have come here, large conglomerates, but I think we really, as ABB, we really see a transition happening from connected and optimized to collaborative and mobile mode in Indian industries. It is happening now. In the next one or few years, I think it is going to be complete. So the final ambitious mode, what we call it as autonomous and economic optimization. So the name speaks for itself, wherein it is completely autonomous and you really look at the business aspect of it, right? So automation system really do not look the business aspect of systems, right? Or in automation, you just manage, we are more into operation and production aspect. So this is a place wherein you get into autonomous and economic optimization, wherein you are going to have some focus on the business too. So one is you have your complete driving equipment and robotic solutions, mobile workforce solutions. So wherein you pretty much run the plant completely autonomously. Automating a plant does not mean the plant is autonomous. Automating a plant means the plant can run on its own, but still it needs a lot of operator interventions, right? So in autonomous mode, you take out a lot of operator interventions, wherein you really put a lot of solutions in place, wherein you really remove the operator interventions and the plant can really run on its own. So that is a major leap forward. And then next is you really get into use AAML for predictive controls, right? Predictive maintenance. So most of the maintenance that happens in plants are preventive maintenance. So or even worst is the maintenance after a interruption happens. So but advanced level is preventive maintenance. But predictive maintenance is wherein you really look at the, for example, let's say a motor, you run that motor. Can you have a solution in place which says that this particular motor is going to have a particular fault in next 2 to 3 weeks? Can you please go and rectify it now? So that means once your system throws such a predictive alert, you are actually potentially avoiding a downtime and an interruption in the plant. Right. So we get into this predictive maintenance and advanced process control again using ML. So that is, and the next one is really digital twin. You guys would have heard a lot about digital twin, wherein what we really call as digital twin is you completely simulate your plant as a twin, and then you do a lot of simulation there. You do a lot of analysis there, and you start to implement it in your plant. So you build a digital twin of your plant. So it is easier said than done, because for example, making a digital twin for a motor is easy, but making a digital twin for a cement plant which has about thousands of equipment is not going to be really easy, right? Because there are going to be a lot of dependencies, the cascading and stuff. So this is the major aspect. So next brings the economic place, right? At the end of the day, every industry, they run for a business, right? Can you really track the market price, process flow? For example, let's say you talk about again a cement plant. A cement plant will need about 5 to 6 raw material. Major one is limestone, fly ash, bauxite, a lot of raw material, coal, raw material, and all the are sourced, right? All these are sourced from various mines, various places, from various sellers, and it all flows in, and there is a logistics involved in it. Can you really integrate all those logistic information? Can you really track, for example, let's say you have a system which says for the next month you will need 3,000 tons of bauxite, 8,000 tons of coal, and then it really finds out what are the places in which you will get the desired quality, and it makes you suggestion, and it suggests that okay, you probably procure 8,000 tons of coal from this seller in this quality for next month for your seamless operation. Can a system suggest that? So that is where we really, and it tracks market price and complete flow of material, which helps you to optimize your complete economic process. And then, yeah, it all leads to this, what we call it as economic process control, wherein you really do not only control the process, but you at each and every step, you also control your costs. and you also increase the efficiency along the way. So this is the ambitious place. Very few people in the world have come here. But as ABB, we work with a very big mining conglomerate called Boliden in Europe. They are almost here. So they are making a progression from here to here, and very, very few industries in the world have done this. But I think this is how the whole automation story is going to evolve now, because being very honest, when I started out in 2012, I was commissioning a system pretty much like this, which was when I really started in 2012, I started commissioning systems which are here in local automated mode. And when I made a progression to a technical consultant role in 2015, I was selling mostly this solution, but I was slowly moving here. I was also consulting for solutions like this. And 2017, yeah, so 2017 and 2018, we slowly, I also started, because these things are going to remain, right? Immediately, let's say a new industry or a plant is set up, they are not going to start here. Right? So they are going to start here or here, and then they are going to progress here in each step. So we have to, as ABB, we continue to have all these solutions in our banner. So in 2017 and 18, I really started seeing solutions like this, and we started a lot of solutions. We had already developed these solutions, and we really started focusing on solutions which are on collaborative and mobile mode. And particularly in India and even Asia and Africa, for a very few customers in 2019 and 2020, we are starting to talk about these solutions. So usually when we really start talking about the solution is the first step, and it takes a few years for us to really talk about the solution and educate the customers about the solution, and then to go implement the solution, the cycle takes about 3 to 5 years. Okay, so and go here in 2020, we are focusing a lot on these solutions, connected and optimized, which is a default requirement now, and also equally on collaborative and mobile solutions. And slowly, in very few select customers, we are actually even talking about the solutions. And as ABB, we have a host of solutions which are focused on all the 5 areas. So yeah, probably this is pretty much all that I really wanted to talk about on how the latest trend or what is really happening in the automation and instrumentation domain across the industries right now. So probably, yeah, before probably I move to a few other things, 1 or 2 more things, wherein I really talk about how the industry segment and job market is now. I'll probably skip the social entrepreneurship part because I'm not sure how relevant also in the interest of time. So so when you really talk about a job in automation or instrumentation and automation in India, so there are 3 places where you can work. So first, you directly work at the industries. So you work for industries like JSW, Ultratech, Reliance, any industry for that matter. You directly work at the industry, NLC, any industry. So you can go work as a control and instrumentation engineer in industries, wherein you'll be maintaining operations, and then also sometimes whenever a new plant is set up, you get into a commissioning role. So the second place is OEM manufacturer, what we call as ABB, Schneider, Siemens, Rock, Honeywell. So these are the people who really implement the automation and instrumentation systems in this whole industries. You talk about any industry, the automation system is going to be from ABB, Siemens, Schneider, Rockwell, or Honeywell. 80% of the automation are going to be 80-90% of the automation are going to be this 5 people, five major business houses who really work on it. So you can go there. So once you get into ABB, mostly you will get into an engineering and commissioning role to start with. So that is something that you should really focus on, engineering and commissioning role. And sometimes you get into a service-based role or a sales role or something. So third is wherein you get into EPC manufacturers. So you talk about companies like L&T, Shapoorji Pallonji, Tyson Group, and various other EPC manufacturers, wherein their strength is a lot on civil and mechanical solution. But since they deliver the complete turnkey solution, they have some instrumentation and electrification experts. They have to employ some experts wherein they help with the procurement process and other things. So these are the three areas, three major places wherein you can work completely after your graduation in India, pretty much all these three. So on this three, yeah, it's always good to start with companies like ABB, Siemens, wherein you are going to implement the system, your learning curve is going to be real quick. Right, so that is good. And also, if at all, if you're interested, any commissioning opportunities, something that you should really grab. And again, so now essentially, since we are looking at the COVID, we should really see how the impact of COVID has been on these three, right? So if you really see the impact of COVID, the impact has largely been on companies like ABB, Siemens, Schneider, Honeywell, and Rockwell. More so because companies ABB, Siemens really get their revenues, but more new plants come up, more new industries come up. Okay, the service revenue, which really comes from existing plant, is not a very high proportion. Right, so we really, you as ABB, Siemens, and Honeywell to survive, you really need a lot of industries, new plants being built up and stuff. And so is the case for companies like L&T, Tyson Group. They really want a lot of new projects coming in for them to grow. So essentially, with COVID, what has happened is many new projects have stalled. So we are having a short-term low demand across the industry. So these domains are affected a bit. But if you really work on the plant front, let's say JSW, Ultratech, Reliance, they may not put up a new plant, but they are going to keep producing cement, metal, oil, right? So you will not have a lot of job impact if you really are employed with those firms. But yeah, believe me, but I think for someone who's graduating from NIT Trichy, I guess they'll really find an opportunity in production, OEM's place far more interesting than industries. That's my experience and person. So these are probably the few things that is happening with the job market and what is happening broadly in this. So, and particularly, and again, I'll touch on a small concept. So let's say you really plan to have to do a MTech or PhD, then your opportunity in India is going to be only the corporate research centers, what we call as corporate research centers. So companies like ABB, Siemens, and Honeywell, while serving the industries, they also have research, global R&D houses, research and development houses, have operating in India. So if you really get to do your masters, you will not have a very good opportunities in working in the first three profiles or companies that I mentioned. You should really look at opportunities up and in the corporate research centers. That's where your opportunities are going to be. So yeah, so this is something on the job front. So with that, yeah, so any one or two quick questions we can take. We probably that's great. Then Rama, I think there are no questions. So then, yeah, thank you so much everyone for being there today. So it's actually it was a very nice moment to connect back to the alma mater, particularly the department, and very importantly in the presence of Uma ma'am and Umapati sir, who are the gurus. So very happy. Because I'm someone who was always kind of connected to the institute, to the alumnus affairs, and even in college with the feeds, and even I'm someone who kind of have a social call, which is always running across me. So now listener circle, feeds in college, and I always have a social call running. And particularly, I'm very, very happy today. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Rama and Pranay. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful. I'll be connected and I'll share this. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
So it was a very insightful session. We got a great look into the job progression, and then it was a very detailed session about the automation, how it's progressing and how it can progress further. It was very, very insightful and very detailed explained. Very much thank you a lot, sir. And I would Uma ma'am, Umapati sir for making that time here. And also I'd like to thank the audience. So I hope it was a very informative session and thank you very much, everyone. Again, thanks a lot, sir, for agreeing to be a part of this webinar series.